Emily, welcome back. Excited to be doing another one of these with you.
Hey, yeah, I'm so glad to be back too. This is exciting stuff to talk about.
Yeah, so today we're talking a little bit about some more findings from the market research report. Today we're going to focus mostly on the concept of speed to market, which is one of the things that popped up as we were interpreting all of the results here from the Manufacturing Pressure and Productivity Index. And there were some actually really surprising findings here that I'll share and then let you react to a little bit. So 23% of the respondents of the survey actually called out speed to market as their top priority for 2025. Now, that's particularly surprising because other things that popped up in this report, hiring and retaining to address the skilled labor gap, also driving supply chain efficiencies. I think 14% of our respondents called out that as their top priority. So to have speed to market beat out addressing skilled labor challenges and driving supply chain efficiency, I think surprised all of us. But
Mhm.
how do you react to that?
Yeah, I think it really underscores the fact that it's not like those other areas are easy. It's not like they're saying, oh, we care about this more than hiring skilled labor because they feel super confident that they have a giant pool of skilled labor. Nobody does. We are actually experiencing a labor deficit crisis. And yet they still want to continue prioritizing speed to market. I think that just really speaks to the power it has. And when you think about it, it makes sense. We talk to a lot of people in industries where there are very competitive release cycles, where the first person that can come out with a viable product is going to scoop up a huge share of the market. And that advantage just continues to compound. The sooner you get out product A, the sooner you can start working on product B, the sooner you can start revising based on feedback for product C. So it creates an advantage that will only continue to improve your competitive standing over time. I think that's a major reason why we see so many different places and so many different industries put that at the top of their list.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think about industries like medical device manufacturing, where this is clearly a major issue. First to market on the new immunoassay test is going to win a large share of the available market, definitely. Um, I also think in here there's a way to think about the importance of lead time, maybe for smaller manufacturers as well. I think that's popping up in here. I think it's an acknowledgement that quality now for major manufacturers is an expectation. So folks further down the supply chain are probably trying to compete on price and lead time. So speed to market in that sense can help people win more business, which makes sense that it would be a priority in a potentially recessionary environment.
Absolutely. I think as these sort of recessionary concerns or concerns about labor pool shortage or supply chain issues, which of course are concerns, continue to amplify, I think it just compounds the advantage that being the first that the market will provide. Because who knows if there'll even be a second to the market given these uncertain times.
Yeah. Well, so we're zoomed in a little bit, but I just want to zoom out and maybe have you for a second share some thoughts on why improving speed to market is so critically important for the folks in manufacturing.
I think the biggest things are that the more you can improve speed to market, it isn't just, providing the advantage of more sales and more market share, but it's also reinforcing a sentiment that you need to have in all steps of your process. Improving speed to market also means you've improved the efficiency of your process. You've reduced toil, repetitive tasks, manual tasks. It means that you're automating things, which also gives you the benefit of consistency. It's essentially just a barometer for how forward-thinking and innovative your company is as a whole. There's a lot of different metrics of innovation, but these days, so much is being focused and poured into improving that type of process and getting you from A to B as quickly as possible. So I think that's something, too, that companies like to focus on. It's something that can provide all sorts of incremental value as you eliminate these inefficiencies, redundancies, missed opportunities.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point. So in this sense, speed to market is also a proxy in a way for the overall efficiency of your entire manufacturing process. If in order to move the needle there, we need to have created efficiencies across the rest of our work stream. That's a really interesting point, because I think we, with a lot of our customers, have talked about the importance of optimizing every step. But what we found in talking with folks is, for a lot of verticals, there are just limitations
Mm,
on how optimized the physical processes of manufacturing can be. An assembly line is only going to move so fast. So with that in mind, we've had some discussions about optimizing the digital components of that workflow, and that's certainly where CADDi endeavors to help. But maybe you can say a little more about that for us.
yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up because I think it's something that a lot of manufacturing shops, even though maybe they understand in the abstract this sort of distinction, it's very hard to kind of reorient your own understanding of process around it. You gave a great example. An assembly line goes the speed that it goes, and a lot of investment has been made into optimizing that, automating, coming up with more effective machines at each step, taking the manual components, streamlining them, training them to a science. But less is done on some of these more digital management components that are still extremely instrumental and often are the first and last steps in all of these processes. For example, when you're manufacturing something, you need a design. That design didn't just pop up out of nowhere. Somebody drew it, somebody revised it. There was a lot of collaboration, a lot of back and forth. But I think often shops won't really count that time as part of the time it took to get that product to market. But it's actually in those steps, in those collaborative steps, in searching and cross-referencing other drawings, that the most time can be saved these days. And that's, of course, what we're trying to do here at CADDi.
Yeah, I think that's a point really well made, right? If the assembly line itself is a limiting factor, there are plenty of other places to optimize, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's the speed at which your team can go about completing designs. There's the speed at which they go about selecting suppliers. That supplier selection, by the way, can have a massive impact on lead time, which is another one of the inputs here that's really important. And of course, if you really want to slow things down, inciting a quality defect is certainly a great way to do it. So fast design, just for the sake of speed, is not necessarily even really an acceptable outcome. Now, one of our findings was that knowledge gaps or data gaps were actually a major contributing factor to slow speed to market. So I wonder if you wouldn't mind sharing some of those findings with us.
Absolutely, yeah. What we found was, going in, we knew data gaps were a problem. We built a whole software that addresses data gaps, but I don't think any of us were ready to realize just how prevalent they are and how many instances there are where people know there's data gaps but still can't overcome that. We found that 55% of procurement professionals said if they had access to just every part of their inventory and the historic data around it, they would be able to collaborate faster with engineering. They would be able to develop products faster. 59% of them said that that data would reduce the risk of defects and faulty parts, which, as you say, is probably the biggest stumbling block when bringing something to market. That causes like an absolute reset of aspects of your project. 67% of engineers said that access to performance data for previous projects would lead to faster designs. They would have a better sense of what works and what doesn't. They wouldn't need to reinvent the wheel every time. Where 63% of engineers said that connecting design choices to production costs would accelerate that process. Right now, that's something that's usually very manual, requires a lot of expertise, a lot of looking up. But there are smoother ways to bring this data to light. And again, I always want to emphasize, these are the known unknowns. These are people that know they have some sort of deficiency in their data that's causing them to slow down or causing them to make suboptimal choices. The real number is significantly higher. The number of cases where you don't even know where you don't know vastly outnumber the known unknowns.
That continually amazes me, thinking about that, and I'm sure it's incredibly scary for folks, especially in verticals like medical device manufacturing, where there is this inherent tension between speed and quality. And of course, you want to be first to market, but if being first to market carries with it a quality defect that ends up with you recalling 100,000 hip implants that have already been put in place. That's a massive existential risk for the business. I've
It's a
also
massive
been
existential risk
having
for the hip recipients too.
yeah, yes, yeah, patient safety first. uh no, but so I've been thinking about these findings a lot in light of trying to answer for folks what it is that CADDi fundamentally does, and what one can do with historical parts data or manufacturing data is really dependent on what their job role is. So I think it's worth sort of bifurcating the value CADDi provides into two parts, right? The second being, let's equip you with data that helps you make better decisions. But the first is helping members of your team fundamentally answer the question: have we built this?
Mm-hmm.
Have we made
Mm-hmm.
something before that looks like this? And it's that first step that is a major limiting factor in folks applying historical data. In certain industries, you've got greater or lesser adoption of tools like PLM, which, at least in the scenario with a PLM tool in place, you have some level of data storage. But none of the PLM solutions out there have really focused on data utilization and making it easy to get content back into the hands of the people who are leveraging them. So this is an area where I think we can step in to help people considerably.
Absolutely.
Uh, but that's a bit of a segue. I mean, one way for me to segue into asking you about how technology plays a role in accelerating speed to market. That was a big part of your thesis in producing our last blog post. I'm wondering if you could share some more insights into that.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because I feel like people have seen how much technology has helped with speed to market already. And then it's sometimes hard to imagine what the next step could actually be. So, for example, you used to have a big filing cabinet full of paper drawings. And to see, have we built this sort of thing before? Do we have a starting place for this? Can we save time on a new project? It involved digging through a whole bunch of paper files, pulling them out, seeing if it looks kind of close to what you were picturing. Maybe you call somebody in another office where they've got another big filing cabinet and describe over the phone what you're looking for, and they dig through it. And of course, we've had major speed ups in the decades since then. Now we have computer systems where all of the drawings are scanned in and labeled. And so you think, all right, I'm making some sort of bearing. I'm going to search in my database bearing and see if there's any other bearings that are kind of similar to this. And that's a big step up. Like, I want to recognize we have already made major digital steps in improving our speed to market as an industry. But I think what CADDi represents is an even more profound and impactful step than that previous step, where we remove the necessary data, or not data, but labels and ID numbers. No longer are you making repeated searches, seeing what comes up and hoping that there's a match, not even really being sure that there is a match. But this new era of technology, including CADDi, really understands what the drawing is. So if I'm looking for drawings of bearings, all I need to provide is a drawing of a bearing. It can even be a hand-drawn sketch I made in 10 minutes. I scan that in or just take a picture, and CADDi can bring up instantly anything similar looking, anything that has features, the same kind of ratio of dimensions, the same number of flanges. It's really quite profound, being able to just think about your data on another level where you're not really thinking of yourself as a computer system that can process only ID numbers and charts, but as this omniscient god of drawings that can instantly look through all of these images and say, yep, I think these are the ones you're looking for.
Yeah.
So when I talk about this new era of technology, it is kind of hard to imagine because this is stuff that has only been possible in the very recent past. And yet it represents just as big a step forward as, I think, the scanner or the photocopier.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to test out the messaging with my wife on, I am the progenitor of the omniscient god of drawings, and just see how she reacts to that. That'll be my market testing before we really roll that out. No, but I think in reacting to that, also with the benefit of getting to see our near term roadmap, when I think about what data can really do, right? So we've talked a lot about acquiring the historical data point and then interpreting your action based on that. But a big part of the value of extracting metadata from all of your unstructured data is we can start to apply learning algorithms to make predictive or prescriptive recommendations on how people do work. And I see what we're doing, and I look to a very near-term future where an engineer trying to complete a design quickly gets a notification from CADDi's system letting them know that they're at a 15% elevated risk of incurring a quality defect when they go to produce a specific component part with given material choices and surface tensions. And if that sounds science fiction to some, it's a little more science fact than you might think. But of course, technology is going to continue to evolve, and that's why we're so excited about what we're doing here. But with all that said, Emily, this has been super fun. I'm really looking forward to the next one. What are we talking about next time?
Next time, we're going to talk about another kind of macroeconomic trend, which is onshoring. Why are manufacturers bringing jobs back to America, and what's the best way to do it?
Can't wait for that. All right.
All right.
So for CADDi, I'm Aaron.
And I'm Emily.
We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.